Quora can be a great tool for research as far as social networks go, and there's really a couple reasons for this. The first is that you can go to this website and you can actually pose questions, and the community of users will answer those questions, and you're able to look at not only the content of the answers, but the person that posed that answer and see if you consider them to be an authoritative source of information. The other reason that Quora can be really useful is that it helps in sometimes refining your initial research questions. So, for instance, if I know that I want to write a profile of a particular museum, or any museum for that matter, I can go to Quora and I can start typing the word museum, and already you see a number of topics come up related to museum in the Dropbox, and I think I'm going to click on Museum of Modern Art and see what people have already asked on this topic. And as I scroll through, I can see this is an interesting question. How big is MoMA's budget for purchasing works of art each year? Now, if I were going to write a museum profile, this is something that I would probably want to find the answer to in the course of my research. Now, as I click on it, I can see that this person also wants to know whether there's separate funds for different types of media and whether the museum sets a goal of acquiring a certain number of pieces each year. Now, these are good questions because while I could probably go to the Museum of Modern Art's website and locate their annual report and probably find an overall operating budget and perhaps an acquisitions budget, I'm probably not actually going to find the answer to some of these sub-questions about collecting numbers of pieces in a document like that. Now, as I scroll down, I see that 2 people have answered the question, and this question has generated an answer from someone named Coven J. Smith, who says that he is the Director of Technology at the Denver Art Museum. And as I read through his question, I see he has what seems to me to be a very credible answer to this question. He talks about not just the overall budget that the museum would list as their operating budget, but he also discusses kind of unexpected ways that museums acquire art pieces each year. One is through gifts from donors that may or may not be expected gifts, and the other is is through organizations rather that work on behalf of the museum and have budgets that are completely separate from the museum budget, that they acquire works and then donate to the museum, but their budgetary money is completely separate from that of the museum operating budget. So he goes on to basically say that you're not going to really set a goal of a particular number, and instead you're going to look at acquiring probably in specific areas, or have broader goals than specific numbers in your collection. And to me that sounds like a very good answer to this question. Now, let's click and see if we can find a little more information about Coven. I click on his name and it opens his profile page, and I can see again he lists himself as the Director of Technology at the Denver Art Museum. That's a very good credential to qualify him to speak about a museum of similar size and the policies in place at major museums in terms of acquisition and budgets. I'm also going to scroll down and see what other types of questions Coven has answered. And it appears to me that he has answered a number of questions, and as I read through quickly, I'm satisfied with the quality of his answers. I can decide from this that he is an intelligent individual in addition to his titled credentials. So again, the quality of his answer seems to me to be boosted by the fact that he's also given other intelligent answers on this site. And for that matter, I can look at questions that he's followed and that he's said that he likes, and see if he's also following similarly intellectual threads, which he is. Now, this is all well and good, but I think I want to go and verify from an outside source whether Coven is indeed the Director of Technology at the Denver Art Museum. So I am going to go out to Google, and I'm going to search for Director of Technology at the Denver Art Museum. Now, I already searched for Coven J. Smith independently, and I saw that Coven is very active in a number of social media sites. So the first things that come up are his blog, his website, his Twitter account, his LinkedIn profile, and he consistently lists himself as being the director of technology at the Denver Art Museum. So it's very likely that that is an actual title, but I still want to verify it with an outside source. And I was unable to find a staff listing on the Denver Art Museum website. However, as I Googled Director of Technology at Denver Art Museum, I came back with an About.com article that cites quotes from the curator of an exhibition that is current now called Blink, Light, Sound, and Moving Image, as well as the current director of the Denver Art Museum. And then right here, as I scroll through the article, I see that there is a quote by Coven Smith, Director of Technology for the Denver Art Museum, in that same article. So now I've verified via an outside source that he is in fact the title that he lists, or he holds the title that he lists at that museum. Now I can also verify via the Museum Computer Network website that he's been elected to the board of directors. And so here again, Coven Smith, Director of Technology at Denver Art Museum. Now I verified in 2 outside sources that he is actually holding the title that he says he is. So I am satisfied that Coven is who he says he is, and that he is an authoritative source for answering this particular question. Now, I could go on and search other types of topics related to this museum, or I could go out and search for different types of topics like photographers or contemporary painting practices, and find a fair amount of information to get me started in other directions. One thing Quora is excellent for is locating sources to outside blogs which contain, often institutional blogs I should say, which contain additional information that's really valuable for research in the area of contemporary arts.